Okay, can you put a monetary value on keeping the Maui dolphin from extinction? What about the kakapo? They're both endangered species, just two of the many on the long list. Now, the Minister of Conservation himself, Tama Potaka, has said we're going to have to let some of these creatures die off because it's simply too expensive to save them all. So whose favourite children do you pick? And is he right? Don't we need that money for other things like medicines and cancer treatments and better pay for nurses? I don't know. Forest and Birds, Nic Toki joins me now. Nic, g'day, nice to have you on the program.
Kia ora, how are you?
Good to see you again. Is he right?
No. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. No, he's not reading the room, right? So New Zealanders have a love affair with our native wildlife. You yourself, quite fond of the kia. We've talked about this.
Yes.
And what he's doing is a couple of things. He's essentially saying he's picking winners, right? He's saying, as you say, pick your favourite child and we'll fund that one, but not that one. But it's not across his portfolio to the extent that we would expect a conservation minister to be. And I guess my kind of reflection when I saw that shocker of a headline, or actually watched his comments on Select Committee, was, this is the country that brought the black robin back from just one breeding female. We've all grown up with the story of Old Blue. This is the country that's world renowned for saving the kakapo. With that kind of attitude, it's kind of like, well, too expensive, just wander off.
Yeah.
I just don't think New Zealanders will stand for it.
It interests me that he didn't need to say it for a start. These are things he don't actually need to say. So he draws attention to himself as being I'm cost cutting. In the name of cost cutting, we're going to kill things. This government needs to be a little bit careful that it doesn't cost cut everything into submission. Now we're going to. This is what it's almost like, though. We're not going to spend the money on this because we're cost cutting.
Yeah, but they're not cost-cutting everything, are they? I mean, I saw an announcement the other day they were going to spend $4 billion on potholes. So, governments make choices, and government after government make choices, right? And what's happened to the poor old Department of Conservation is it's been sort of whittled down, kind of government after government, every 3 years after every 3 years. Got a little bit of a top-up back in 2018, but other than that, it's kind of just gotten down the bottom of the pile, and we're expecting the department to look after a third of the country on less than the budget of the Christchurch City Council. And it's frustrating if I'm trying to be on my best behaviour. It's frustrating.
Go ape, go naughty.
Well, I think it's exasperating for most New Zealanders because, this government claims to be the government of business. Businesses invest in their economic assets in order to ensure a sustainable return. We know that our greatest economic asset in this country is our wild places and our wildlife. People aren't coming here to go to Westfield Bloomin' Shopping Mall, are they?
Shoot me now.
On the public conservation lands alone, the benefit, so the financial benefit to tourism is $4.1 billion. That was last year. And 70% of all of our businesses rely on our natural resources in order to be able to trade. So with all of those facts and evidence in mind, surely to goodness, we would be investing in nature to make sure that we can ensure that sustainable return. And this government, there was another clangor of a headline yesterday when the Minister for the Environment said that the balance had swung in favour of the environment. Now, this at a time where every year her own ministry puts out reports that detail 90% of our wetlands are gone, even more species are threatened. I'm a bit confused about the evidence-based this coalition government are using.
Can I give you some hope, though? I was driving recently through the Waipua Forest in the Northland. It was about midnight, and possums get in the way, so they go into the wheel. I'll admit that. And then I came around the corner, and I thought I was lighting another one of them up as I went through the forest, but I slammed on the brakes because it wasn't a possum. And I saw the big fat backside of a kiwi in the middle of the night, in the middle of the road. And it looked up and it waddled off into the bush. I'm thinking, that's one there. There must be a lot more now because we must have done something right because they are now on the road. They're out in the open,
That is a great example. And what you're describing is when you invest in conservation, the benefits are huge, right? And pest control doesn't just protect kiwi, it protects all the other birds and reptiles and, critters, the things that I like in that forest. So one recipe, you're solving for a whole lot of species. What I think Minister Potaka did was a wee bit basic in that he kind of went, well, there's 4,000 species and they cost X the amount, and so therefore we can't save them all. But actually, we can be really clever and strategic, and we are I guess it's kind of embarrassing because I have just been at Parliament with Minister Potaka, with the Governor General, and with Jane Goodall, which was
Yes.
fangirl moment. And Jane herself talked to this room full of VIPs about how amazing New Zealand was for saving the black robin, for never giving up, even when we got down to just one viable female. You know, that Wildlife Service team could have gone too hard, walked away, and they didn't. They pulled out all the stops. And that's what the New Zealand public wants our ministers to do. If you're the Minister of Conservation, pull out all the stops, mate.
Yeah, you wanted to go into bat for the environment and the conservation state, you know. Did you, when you were down there at Parliament, did you give him a little elbow or something? Did you let him know?
No, I thanked him for having me because he was sponsoring the day. But I'm really struggling because I have worked in for ministers and with ministers now for 2 decades, right? Every flavour of government, and I'm in a really lucky position that I don't have to pick winners because we just want to work with people who do good things for nature.
Yep.
But I've never seen a government be so disinterested in conservation. So if you think about even Maggie Barry, for example, boy, she took on that mantle with a hiss and a roar, and she was all about predator free. This minister, I don't think he's put out a single press release.
This interests me. And you know, I mean, if anyone knows your experience and expertise and your background over 20, 30 years, you've seen all this stuff, right? And for you to make that call so early on, they've been in office, 8 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and you're saying that they're the most disinterested group in power when it comes to conservation than you've ever seen. Well, that's an astonishing claim, and good on you because you've noticed it. But that's bad. That spells bad news for the environment.
Well, and I think it spells bad news for our national identity and our national psyche, right? So a couple of weeks ago, it's been a busy old month. I was in Auckland with 20,000 plus people who took off there a Saturday afternoon who wandered down Queen Street as a march for nature, right? That's an enormous amount of people these days to get out, and including 3 busloads from the Coromandel. So Kiwis really care about this stuff. Doesn't matter who they vote for, what part of the political spectrum they're on, that people expect that nature will be looked after because it's part of who we are. But I do notice, you know, every conservation minister that I've ever worked with loves the idea that you can go out and see a Kiwi like you did the other night, or you might go and visit some rangers who are releasing, I don't know, lizards somewhere. You know, you grab that portfolio with both hands because A, it gives you a little bit of profile, but B, it's a really neat portfolio. Haven't seen any of that. I've seen something about Ruapehu Alpine Lifts, and I've seen something about Cathedral Coves. He's the conservation minister. You should get excited.
This is the photo opportunities. When you're the corrections minister, there's no good news. But when you're the conservation minister, you go out there and you release kiwi, you release all sorts of birds, and that's the best bit.
It's a fantastic bit, and like I say, all political stripes, you know, ministers of all political stripes, I know because they've told me over the years, love it.
Yeah. Nicola, great to have you on the program. Good stuff. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, take care. Good luck. Soon. You'll get some reaction from the beehive, I'm sure.
Garner.